Welcome to CAS 133, Basic Computer Skills, Microsoft Office, Columbia Gorge Community College, The Dalles, Oregon. Linda Hughitt, instructor. We are into week 8, and we're going to be moving to doing Excel. You'll notice you have some support options, and one of these videos is like a little outrageously long. It's like 50 minutes, but the guy's going over some really good basic information that if you don't know Excel or you're having trouble and you're feeling like you're kind of lost, it might be worth the time investment. It might give you that background you really need to get taking off and working with Excel. You'll notice that they're tips and tricks. These are the tips and tricks that have been accumulated clear back from 2007 Office forward with Excel. If we ever find any that are no longer valid with the newer programs, we'll take them out. If you have suggestions, I suggest that you do, in fact, let me know, because we can add to it very easily. There's some things that I'm going to suggest to you that may make your life easier. After you put all the data, the numbers, into the spreadsheet, make a copy of it. Right-click and save an extra copy. Because what happens is the numbers take you a long time to put in, and then as you're formatting, if you have any sort of mistake or goof, you have to start all over from scratch. That's not a great thing. If you've saved a copy, then you can fall back, the numbers are all in, and you just start formatting over again. If you have to do that, I'd make another copy before I start the process each time, because otherwise you're back to all that data entry, which takes you longer than it should, let alone have to do it multiple times. If you're on a desktop computer, make sure that you use the kind of the asterisk and the minus and the plus from the 10 keypad. We're finding that they don't work from the top row. They just don't read it the same. It doesn't seem to be an issue with a laptop, but if you have a laptop with a 10 key on it, I would use the 10 key just to be on the safe side. If your laptop doesn't have a 10 key, you should be okay. When you're highlighting versus using the fill handle, you need to make sure you're really careful with that. And basically the difference between those two is if I type some numbers in it, doesn't matter if I'm an 07, 10, 13, this works all the same way. If I type some numbers in it, and I want to highlight them, I'm going to take my mouse and run across there. Then I can do like an auto sum. It's just added them up. I'm going to use a Control-Z to undo that. And I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to use that little plus handle at the bottom. And then when I go across, it will do a different feature. Now, one of the things you have to watch is sometimes what it does is changes everything to a 12 like it just did. And you want to drop this little box open and do fill formatting only, and you know, notice those numbers come back. So those are two different directions depending on what the book is asking you to do. And you do know how to take your numbers and get them back if it does that magic little change everything to the same. If you're wanting to put it in formula view, you need to click your mouse on a cell before you do it. And then another one at the bottom also addresses it, that if you put text wrap in any of your cells for any reason, it will always open in the normal view. It will not go into the formula view. It may go into it, but when you save it, it goes right back to normal. And I've had students during terms have absolute fits with like, I've done it in formula view, I've saved it in formula view. What do you mean you're not seeing it in formula view? And this may be actually the cause of that. We mentioned if you use the pull handle, all your numbers change. I just showed you what to do about that. If you're going to size a graphic, you have to get a crosshair. It looks like a little plus sign. The accent key is located above the tab key and to the left of the 1 key. It has a little umlaut and a little slash on it. You're going to be asked to find that, and rather than emailing me and asking me where in the heck that is on the keyboard, you now know. If you're told to click above A1, and when you're looking at a spreadsheet, you'll notice there isn't much above A1. What they're trying to do is, how do you click above A1? It's not really there. Well, it's a case of changing the view. If you go to page layout, now you can click above there. Look how easy that was. But most people don't realize it, or they miss that little view. And so what ends up happening is they're over here clicking and clicking and going a little insane. You can always do insert header and footer and it opens the same exact thing. It makes absolutely no difference which way it's done, but just randomly clicking up there without getting it in this proper view is just going to give you a headache. And me an email probably, because you can't get it to work. Anytime you get these little asterisks or number signs, what that means is you've got a number that's too long for that box. Or you'll get a funky little thing like that. And basically what you're going to want to do is you're going to have to size the box so it fits. And in my case, I just got it way too big. So let's go back and try that again without quite so much. Let's go over here and go 12,345. Okay, that fits, but if I take this box and I make it a little bit smaller, there is a point that I will get that number symbol showing. You can either go up here and get your mouse and double click it and it'll make it the correct size, or you can get your mouse on it and you can move that. Obviously we don't want to make it huge, but we do want to make it such that that mark goes away. You're not really going to be printing for this class, but a lot of times you may want to print. And if you want to print, you have to actually go into page layout and you have to ask it to turn the print on for the grid lines. These are those lines that go up and down. And you have to turn the print on for the headings and the features. Because if you don't do that, what ends up happening is you end up with just a white page with these numbers on it. You can also change orientation, whether you want it portrait up and down like a picture's painted of someone, or landscape more like you would take a picture, say, standing at the beach in the ocean and you want the horizon. So you're going to be able to switch those there as well. And that mentions it in the tips and tricks. If you're moving a chart, it works best to slide the chart position down by holding the Alt key, putting the mouse on the three dots and the double hairs, which you will see when you're in doing it, and then slide, let go, and repeat. Also, if a chart is supposed to show 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, and you make it a little bit small and it only shows 20, 40, 60, that counts down. Even though it says how to size it, it needs to have all its numbers and information. What good is it going to do to take it to your boss and not have all the data there and have all the information there for them? So if you have to size something just a tiny bit bigger to make it show all the data, make sure you do that. That gives you quite a few hints and tricks throughout these next two modules, this one and the next one, while we're working with Excel. What else do you need to know? Well, your unit goals are there, your summaries, directions are there, and your summary of what needs to be completed. There are some instructional materials here. It's a PowerPoint about Excel and a couple of other forms that have been made using Excel, so you can kind of get an idea of looking at it. The link has to be added, but it will be there by the time you're viewing this. Your learning project from the book is going to be there, and we'll go over that. Application project, your reflection, your forum, and your extra credit link, which is starting to become old hat for you. Now, since we're moving on to the next chapter will have a different color. PowerPoint has been kind of the orange, Word was the blue, and now we're into the green. You need Excel. Chapter 1, creating a worksheet and a chart. It starts on EX2. On EX3, bottom of 2 and 3, it shows you what you should be seeing in that. So make sure you are completing like both parts. If you look at the bottom of that, you will notice that there are actually two different books, two different pages used. And in some of the material, we'll talk about that, but you need to complete both parts or all you've done is half the work. Again, making sure you have all the tips and tricks. I would make sure I do save a blank copy of just the data part of it with the numbers. All too often, a formatting error just wipes you out and sends you back to starting over if you don't. What else do you need to do? Well, you need to make sure you're reading through very carefully, doing all the changes and everything it's asking you to do. Again, on EX44, it talks about changing document properties, and students often skip that because it doesn't have those handy-dandy little red dots by it. So please make sure you're doing that as you go. Again, it'll talk to you about printing and previewing in various forms, landscape. In this case, it wants it moved into. If you have any errors, it's going to have you correct them. Sort of takes you through the end, and it will take you then, of course, into your summary at the chapter on EX54. Again, if you have not done any extra credit and you're wanting to do some, or you've only done one others from a different project, this would be a chance to do that second or first extra credit project. And you'll find it in the labs on EX59. And then, of course, on EX63 is where you're going to start your application project. You have a chance to create a personal budget, create a sales worksheet, or compare car prices. Again, that's the one that looks at collaboration, and you are the team. You are it. There is not anybody working with you. So, if you have questions, please let me know.